Yeah. Okay.
Monitor
Uh,
everything. Yeah.
yeah. I think we are live. Um, One again. I check. Yeah, we are live. Um, Hello, everyone, and welcome all on Data Phoenix webinar. Today we have very interesting topic to discuss. We will speak about monitoring LLMs models and speak about security of these models. Together with us, founding team of Monitor, Anastasia and Caleb. Anastasia is
Everyone.
CEO of Monitor, Caleb is CTO of Monitor, and we will speak about security. And they also share with us their new product and how you can use it and improve your LLMs. Um, so you can ask your questions using Slander. The link is under the video. And we will answer for all your questions in the end of their presentation and their demo. So now I give the microphone to Anastasia and Caleb, and we'll start.
Cool. Thank you so much, Mitra. Hi, everyone. And I'm excited to have you all here and discuss and deep dive in AI safety problems and solutions. Today, we will show how you can protect company reputation by catching any PII sensitive data, prompt injection, bias, toxicity, tone, and show Murnitur Shield in action. So I want briefly introduce us as speakers. So my name is Anastasia, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Murnitur. From my background, I am senior DevOps engineer. I worked for Hewlett Packard, McKesson, and built infrastructure for more than 12 startups. And I have my co-founder and CTO, Caleb. From his background, he is senior DevOps engineer, head of AI, led tech teams for government, and built LLMs monitoring platform MVP in just 1 month. So kudos to him. So our mission at Murnitur is to continuously monitor, control, and improve AI systems to ensure they are safe, reliable, and trustworthy, making AI a predictable and positive force in our daily lives by bringing transparency to this kind of black box LLMs. So today we will cover the biggest challenges with LLMs, AI safety vs AI security, importance of performance metrics, Murnitur Shield in action, and future trends. And small spoiler, in the end of this webinar, we will give you some presents, like a credits for to check out Murnitur. So stay tuned. Um, So right now, almost every company is using AI, but how you can make sure that your AI is compliant? Like, are you actually sure that your AI is not biased against gender or demographics? As we know, LLMs are trained on human data, and unfortunately, as humans, we're all biased. So AI is biased too. We interviewed 50 companies from small startups to huge enterprises, and it's the main challenges with LLMs which we found, such as hallucinations, because LLMs sometimes generate incorrect information, safety, other user prompt and model response safe, correctness, how accurate is this response, bias, privacy, like are you sure that your model is not leaking any like PII or sensitive data on which it was trained. How is the data quality, security, because LMs are vulnerable to prompt injection attacks, and you don't want to someone to manipulate your LM. Transparency, why the model generated these outputs, and A/B tests, because I'm actually sure that like your version 2 of your LM is better than version 1. Also, we found that there are a lot of LMs in dev environments and pre-production, but only few in production. And even who has enough confidence in their AI and releasing it to production, facing a lot of challenges. Actually, companies losing billions of dollars on bad models decisions. For sure, you heard some cases of Air Canada AI chatbot, which hallucinated to their users and said that you can refund tickets anytime, and it costs both company and customer time, money, and trust. Amazon built an AI tool to hire people and had to shut it down because it was discriminating against women. Google apologized for their Gemini image generator and rolled it back, which never happened before. And I love the article from CNN, which saying before AI can take over the world, it has to solve one problem: the bots are hallucinating. And it's true. So in this webinar, we will show how companies could avoid it and save companies' reputation. So stay tuned. Um, I love the phrase of CTO of OpenAI, which saying AI systems are becoming a part of everyday life, and the key is to ensure that these machines are aligned with human intention and values. So let's deep dive and compare AI safety with AI security. What's the difference? AI safety is all about making sure that AI systems behave in the way that's reliable, ethical, and in the line with what we want as a humans. Just imagine AI as a really smart AI systems. You want to make sure it doesn't mess this up, hurt anyone, or act unfairly. And we can ensure it by like few aspects such as ethical consideration, which mean preventing AI from being biased or unfair; robustness, ensuring AI can handle unexpected situations without causing harm; transparency, which mean making AI decision making process clear and understandable, like why generated this response; and compliance, following laws and ethical standards. And AI security is all about protecting AI systems from attacks and unauthorized access, which includes data protection, because it's really important to detect and prevent the exposure of personal information like PII and other sensitive data through real time monitoring and guardrails, in which we will deep dive deeper later, and also access control, ensuring that only authorized users have access to the AI systems. Adversarial robustness, which means detect prompt injection and make sure no one will manipulate your LLM; and system integrity, ensuring AI systems aren't compromised by harmful inputs. To ensure AI safety and security, Murnitur can help measure and monitor such metrics like hallucinations, forcefulness, relevancy, bias, context relevancy, context precision, toxicity, summarization, and PAI. Sorry. So at Murnitur, we support 10 different LLMs providers, 5 vector databases, and 4 frameworks. So if you're using any of them, we can help you to monitor, trace, and get transparency what's happening with your LM application, even in production. So how do you actually ensure that your LM is not biased, will not generate PII, and finally get transparency what's happening in production? Monitor can help solve challenges on different GenAI stages. For example, you can use it in development and use Playground and Comparison Hub to compare different LMs, their prompts, and choose the best one for your use case. You can also use tracing and AI evaluation to evaluate and test your model and detect any hallucinations, toxicity, bias, and make sure that they will not get to production. You can also use tracing in production too and get transparency on what's happening there, and even download like the best data from your production into data sets. We already labeled it for you and use it to fine tune your model, and this way minimize hallucinations too. And one of our core feature is Murnitur Shield, which protecting company's reputation by caching any PII, sensitive data, bias, tone, toxicity, prompt injections, and hallucinations coming soon. So, and now I would love to pass a mic to my CTO, Caleb, who will deep dive. dive deeper into technical aspects and show Murnitur Shield in action. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And that was a beautiful presentation, and I hope I got all of it. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb. I'm the CTO and co-founder at Monitor, just in case you're joining because late. So I'm going to be talking about Monitor Shield, and hopefully you get some insights to what we're developing at Monitor. So, what is Monitor Shield? You can think of Monitor Shield as a real-time firewall for AI interaction. You can use Monitor Shield to protect users from harmful AI responses. You can as well use Monitor Shield to help in compliance and risk management. You can Monitor Shield will ensure that your model only receives safe inputs. And if you're not like me, you can think of Monitor Shield as the Gandalf of AI, Gandalf protecting Middle Earth by saying you shall not pass. So Monitor Shield also ensures that once you've set up your rule sets and things that your system should adhere to, Monitor Shield will make sure that we enforce those rules, and things that you don't want to go through, whether from the user's end or from the model's end, Monitor Shield will make sure it shall not pass. So Monitor Shield also ensures safe and ethical AI responses. So, what are the key features of Monitor Shield? Monitor Shield's key features can be summarized in 4 points. The first one is real time monitoring and interception. So, real time in the sense that you can actually use Monitor Shield in production. We've done a lot of benchmarking, we've tested it. In fact, we actually developed it for production. So, it's ready made for you. You can use Monitor Shield in production, and it will help you monitor and also intercept messages that you probably don't want your users to see, or harmful inputs that you don't want to go to your model. So we've made it configurable. It's rule based. You set up the rules that you want your system to adhere to, and Monitor Shield is just the enforcer of those rules. So you set up the rule you want your system to adhere to, and Monitor Shield will make sure that your system adheres to those rules. And if any of those rules are triggered, Monitor Shield also provide you with two options. You can either override the message, which we're going to see in the demo shortly, and you can as well flag the message for, and also it will send it to you for further review. So you can also, so this is a overview, illustration of how Monitor Shield works. Monitor Shield stands in the gap. Every input from the user has to go through Monitor Shield, and if it's safe for your model to if it's safe for your model to see, then Monitor Shield will let it go through. Else, it won't. Your model would never see that input. Again, from the other side, every response from the AI has to go through Monitor Shield. If it's not safe for the users to see, or if it's data sensitive data that you don't want leaking to your users or to maybe even any hacker, Monitor Shield will make sure that that never goes through. So you can think of Monitor Shield as a bouncer. It's very friendly, but it's also very efficient, blocking the bad guys while letting the good times roll. Hopefully that adds a bit of humor to the presentation. All right, so this is a implementation. It's a code snippet of Python of Monitor Shield in action. So this is a Python code snippet implement. Is an application implementing Monitor Shield. And so this is how you implement Monitor Shield. You set up rules that you want your system to adhere to. In this case, you can see the metric that we're looking at is PII. And the values that we care about is email address and social security number. So you've set up the rules. Monitor Shield will look at it. Okay, the metric is PII, and it's going to check if the output from the model contains email address or social security number. Then it's going to look at the action that you've set in place, whether to override or to flag the message. In this case, you can see the action to take is to override. And if you look at the output coming from the model, you can see the messages you had me at hello. So there was no data leakage, no PII. So that is why Monitor Shield allowed the message to go through. And you can see the response here, you had me at hello. If you look at the next example over here, the output of the model contains social security number, and this is probably data that you don't want leaking out of your platform. So you can see there was a trigger in the rule, and the action that was to be taken was to override the response and reply with sorry, I can't help. I can't provide personal identifiable information. Hence the reason you see the response here. So Monitor Shield have intercepted the message, and it makes sure that those sensitive data don't go through. So this is a snapshot of an application that I'm also going to show it's part of the demo I'm going to show. You can see the screenshot here. This is more of a subtle case. It's different from the regular um, jailbreaking, because this hacker is not actually requesting for the full credit card details. This hacker is requesting for just the last 4 digits. And we've seen scenarios where a scammer or a hacker will call and like trying to get you to confirm probably your last 4 digits of your socials or your credit card details. Monitor Shield was still able to detect that there was a PII in this response, hence the reason why it didn't let that message go through. This is a very complicated scenario because this is not the full pattern or the full credit card details. This is just like fragments of sensitive data, but Monitor Shield was still able to detect and know that okay, this is data that you probably don't want leaking out of your platform. And we're going to get more into this in the upcoming slides. But before then, I just want to talk about every interaction in Monitor Shield. We've made it transparent, and we've also extended the tracing functionalities from the normal monitor, because we have monitor as a platform which is just for observability and tracing your entire LLM application. We've extended that part and added it to Monitor Shield too. So every interaction, everything that's happening in the Monitor Shield, you get to see what is actually going on. So we believe in transparency, and we're just making sure that you get to see everything that is going on there. So we're not messing with your data or doing anything with your data. Everything is transparent. You see everything that's going on there. And as well, every interception, you see every interception. You'll be the first to know, or maybe the second to know, because the first person to know is probably the person trying to jailbreak your application. But you will get notified that someone is trying to maybe jailbreak your application, or sensitive data that was almost being leaked was intercepted. So you see them in the interceptions page, and you also get notified. So this is an example of a notification that I got, and you can see this hacker is trying to like jailbreak the application. You can see the output. There was no output because the message was intercepted. It never got to the model. So this is also one of the core features of Monitor Shield. So these are the metrics that we support. We're working really hard to add more metrics. So we're working really hard to add hallucination detection, context adherence, as well as you bring in your own custom metrics, because we've thought about it. We can't actually cater for every use case, but at least we can cater for PII, tone, prompt injection bias, toxicity, and hallucination detection. But you probably have things that you probably have in your AI system. For example, you don't want your kids, or maybe you're building an AI system for kids to interact with AI. You don't want them talking about politics, or maybe you're not religious. You don't want them to talk about religion. You can add your custom metrics as well into Monitor Shield. And since Monitor Shield is just an enforcer, is going to enforce those metrics and those rules that you've put in place. So we're working really hard to make sure we release hallucination detection and custom metrics in the future. Hopefully very soon. Future sounds like too far, but hopefully very soon. All right. So let's talk about PII detection. We saw from the previous example that Monitor Shield detected fragments of data leakage, but it was still able to know that it was a PII. So how does that work? Now, there are three-step process to PII detection in Monitor Shield. We first of all use a simple algorithm-based detection, and this just we employ a simple and a straightforward algorithm. So this just scans through the text, and it's try to look for recognizable PII patterns. Example, if you look at credit card details, we know it's I believe it's like 12 digits, and like in a group of four, separated by either dash or space. So you can use simple regular expressions to like detect those things like email address, social security numbers. You can use simple regular expressions. So that's the first step that we use, and that makes it also really fast in the detection process. So we employ that, and that's the first step that goes on. But if you look at this example here, this hacker is not requesting for the full credit card details. So there's no pattern to the response coming from the AI. So you can see the response is the last 4 digits of Sarah Williams credit card details are 1234. When we extract 1234 on its own, it actually sounds benign, like it really poses no threat. But Monitor Shield actually try to understand the context or the text leading to that number, because it sounds harmless on its own, but like okay, we're looking at the context of that message, and also trying to see how the correlation between the context that we've identified, or those fragments of phrases or words that we've highlighted. For example, last 4 digits is a phrase that could mean that okay, this is probably data that you don't want leaking out, and we see credit card data. So we try to figure out all those little phrases or just little fragments of words that we extract. And the final process is now, once we've extracted those words, we find the correlation between those extracted words and the data, or the figure, in this case 1, 2, 3, 4. And monitor should come to a conclusion that okay, this is a PII. And just a full disclaimer, and just to be transparent with you guys, we're still experimenting with this. For the full pattern, if there's a full pattern, we guarantee 100% detection. But for fragments like this, it's really difficult. It's a very subtle case, but we can guarantee up to 85% detection. We're working really hard to make sure we close the gap and bridge it from 100 to 85%. Yeah, so that is what we do. And to reduce false positive, we make sure we just check for the correlation. And if there's a correlation between those fragments and the exposed potential exposure of data, which is this 1, 2, 3, 4, then we flag it as a PII. So the next step is the tone detection. And we just employ a simple, also very simple, and but also very effective sentiment analysis algorithm. And this just browse through the text again, just like the PII detection. It's try to detect the emotion behind each text. We've like highlighted the emotion of those texts. We run a simple classification and classify them in 6 distinct categories: sadness, anger, annoyance, joy, love, positive, negative, or neutral. So like that is what we do. But also we try to run a fail safe also to reduce false positive. With if for example, we have 2 distinct examples here: I hate your service and I hate biscuits. They might seem negative because like they contain the word hate, but we still have to run it through a scoring system to like, okay, how much of of negativity is in this text. And that comes the next point, which is the comprehensive tone understanding. It's just a simple scoring system to make sure that the classification that we've highlighted is actually in the right fit. So if you look at the example here, we're looking at the tone from the input, and the action to take. Actually, the values we're looking at is sadness, negative, and annoyance. And the action to take is to override the response and reply with, "We're sorry to hear about your experience." So if you look at the input here, the input is, "This service is actually absolutely useless. I can't believe I wasted my time with this." And once Monitor Shield runs this sentiment analysis algorithm, it's going to likely fall under negative. So it means this rule will be triggered. So where does this make sense? You can use this in customer service scenarios, content moderation, or any application where understanding the emotion or the sentiment of a user's input is really important. And over here now, let's say in the case of customer service scenarios, you can, rather than a human is still needed to like mitigate those cases, but you can use Monitor Shield again as a simple automatic response system where once Monitor Shield detects negativity or maybe sadness from a user, you can just respond with some automatic messages. In this case, we're sorry to hear about your experience. So at least that could serve as a way of mitigating some issues. In the case of content moderation, you're probably building a forum where people can interact in the comment section, and you probably don't want any toxicity. I mean, not every platform is Twitter, right? So you probably don't want toxicity in your in your comment section. So you can as well use Monitor Shield to like detect the sentiments, and if it's actually past the grading system that you've put in place, which are like the metrics that you put in place, like sadness, annoyance, and any of those things. If they don't fall under the criteria, and once they get triggered, you can like run some actions where you probably maybe flag that comment, and maybe it's send it to like a review system, or just block it entirely, right? So that is also one of the use cases where this tone detection really shines in Monitor Shield. So for the rest, before I actually show the demo, the rest of them we employ the use of SLMs and LLMs. So we've made it open. So for prompt injection, bias detection, toxicity management detection, We use different LLM providers. We support OpenAI, Grok, Anthropic, and even your custom model. So in case you're worrying about latency, because this is actually subjective to the LLM provider that you're using, and also subjective to the model you're using. So in case you're worrying about that, and Grok is pretty fast, so you probably want to use Grok. Or if you care about maybe more accuracy, you could use Anthropic. If you care about costs, you can use your custom model as long as they support the API construct, like the same API construct of OpenAI. You can use your custom models as well in case you have a GPU. So it's time for Monitor Shield demo, and I'm gonna head over to Google Colabs to just show you fragments of the code, at least maybe the back end system that we're using. And the back end system uses Monitor Shield and also fragments of Monitor features. So we're building a simple RAG application. We're using LangChain, OpenAI as our LLM provider, and we're using AstraDB as our vector store. So it's pretty simple um, RAG application. So the next step is we're initializing Monitor. So the reason we're initializing Monitor is because we want to see what is actually going on in Monitor Shield. If you don't initialize Monitor to start tracing your application, that feature of getting transparency in Monitor Shield won't be enabled. So you need to initialize Monitor Shield, sorry, Monitor in this case. And the providers that we care about, OpenAI, LangChain, and AstraDB. If you don't pass it or you leave it empty, we're just going to instrument for all the LLM providers that Anastasia showed later in our slide. So in this case, I just care about OpenAI, LangChain, and AstraDB. I think it just makes sense to only trigger those providers that I'm interested in tracing. So this is how we set up the rule set. I'm just setting up two rules here. The first one is PII, and I'm checking if the PII contains financial information, email address, or social security number. So we have different operator that you can use. You can use any, you can use all. If you really care about maybe a tighter form of maybe compliance, or use of security, you can just use all. And what this is going to do is it's going to check if all these are included in the response from the model. Then we're going to trigger it. If it doesn't contain everything, then we're going to trigger it. If it doesn't contain everything, there won't be any trigger. But in this case, I just want to see if the financial information, email address, or social security number, I want to take this action to overwrite and reply with sorry, I identified that information. So I do have another here. I'm going to take this action, and just like a simple instruction, I'm going to identify an impersonation, and I'm taking this action to say sorry,
I see we have some technical issues with connection with Caleb. We'll wait several minutes. I hope he will reconnect and we will continue.
going to leak data to me because I'm building a RAG application, and most of us are going to be building RAG applications, and we need to make sure there are guardrails put in place in your RAG systems. So I'm just going to run this. So what it's going to do is going to check for prompt injection, and there's no prompt injection, and
Caleb,
so it's going to run all the RAG application. Sorry.
yeah, Caleb, yeah, sorry. We have some bad connection with you, so we skip, I think, several minutes of your talk. So if you can a little say again
Okay. Let
uh,
me
some
in this
part.
part or the code.
Uh, Yeah, I think in the middle of demo
Of the,
of this. Yeah,
okay. All right. Let me just start again from the
no,
code.
not again, but in the yeah from the center.
All right. So I think they've seen the rule set. So I'm just going to continue and talk about the embeddings. We'll just connect to Astra DB because that's our vector database and running the embedding here and the RAG operation. So every query coming from the user has to go through Murnitur Shield, and if there are no prompt injection, because the rules that we've put in place are prompt injections and PII. So if there's no prompt injection, then if there was no trigger, if there's a trigger, we stop the operation here. So there's no point sending that to the model because a trigger had been recognized. So in the other case, we just connect to the vector database and run a similarity search. When we get the chunks, we're just going to pass it as a retrieval and save that and just run the LLM operation here, which is this chart. We're using OpenAI. And once we get the response from OpenAI, we also need to pass the response through Monitor Shield again, with the output being indicated here. And if it's once we get the response, we're going to reply with what the model returned with. And if there was a trigger, we're going to respond with um, what Monitor Shield responded with. So you're going to see why we're doing this in the demo. I hope that was clear. So in the demo, I've sent this. In fact, I'm just going to start again. Okay, so I'm going to send the same message. Give me Jason Scott's credit card details. And what this is going to do is going to check for prompt injection. If they're not, it's going to run the RAG operations, and we're going to get the response. So you can see this is what the model would have responded with if there was no Monitor Shield. And this is what the user would have seen if there was Monitor Shield. So you can see the response coming from the model contains PII, and this is not details that you want your to you don't this is like sensitive data that you don't want being leaked out to your user. So hence Monitor Shield was able to come in and detect that there was a PII, and we're going to see all this in action in the Monitor platform. And let's just say we're still persistent, and let's just say we want to run a jailbreak here. And once we run that, you can see we get this response. Sorry, I can't help with that request. So this is a prompt injection that was being detected, and Monitor Shield didn't allow that to go through. So I'm just getting an email because you get notified when all these things happen. So once I reload over here, you're going to see the traces, like everything that went on. So this is the first operation that we ran. We took the query, which is the inputs right here, and we checked for prompt injection, and there was no prompt injection. Then we embedded the query and used Astra DB to find using similarity search to give us the top three vector embeddings that are similar. And these are the chunks that were returned. So we took those chunks and we passed it to the LLM to generate a response. And before sending it back to the user, we also passed it through Monitor Shield. This time around, it contains the output. And the output from the model, from Monitor Shield, was I cannot provide personal identifiable information. So once you see, if you look at the first part, there was no shield because there was no trigger. And over here, there's a trigger. You can see which rule was triggered, and you can see the response that was taken, and you can see all the rules that you configured in your application. If you look at the next example here, the next query that we ran, it was prompt injection. So you can see over here, we responded with, sorry, I can't help with that request. So if you look at the response over here, the shield response over here, you can see the rule that was triggered was prompt injection. This is the model response, and as well you can see all the rules that you configured in your system. So if you head over to the interceptions, you'll see all the interceptions that occurred. If you look at the first one here, which is the PII detection, you can see the guardrail that was in place was PII. So once you click, you'd see the input, you see the output, you see what the shield would have responded with, and the rules and the actions. Same thing for this one. you see the input, and you can see there's nothing for the model because the query never got to the model because it was prompt injection, and Monitor Shield intercepted that and stopped it from going to the model. So that is how Monitor Shield can be used in action. And before we get to the Q&A section, I just want to talk about the future trends and things that we believe that that will be happening. It's already happening, and we're going to talk about a few of them, future trends, and also further developments that we're implementing in Monitor Shield. So we feel like because every organization is using AI, at least almost all organizations in the US are using AI. I just believe that there will be some sort of regulation that should be put in place. Especially we're looking at data privacy. We have things already in place like SOC 2, SOC 3, all those things. I just believe that there would be some sort of regulatory framework that will be put in place for people using AI. It's not a threat. You don't look at it as a bad thing. I just feel like for we should also keep the end users in mind, not just for what will maybe enrich our pockets. We should also have some sort of decency to have some regulatory frameworks put in place to make sure that we're protecting our users are actually safe using our application, like their data is also safe. Transparency and explainability. There should be a way of letting users know how you're going to use their data, how every interaction that is going on in the application, and that is one of the mantra of Monitor. We just add that explainability and transparency. In fact, we've extended it. Monitor Shield was like a black box in itself, just like most LLMs, but we decided to like open that up to make you see everything that goes on inside of Monitor Shield. Data privacy and security, we have SOC 2 already being implemented. I think there will be more stricter regulation, especially for those using AI. Continuous monitoring and auditing, you can use Monitor for that. For the auditing part, you can use Monitor Shield, and it will help with your compliance and performance. Uh, OpenAI released GPT-4 Omni Mini. Doesn't really roll out the tongue. You just say GPT-4 O Mini. They released it last week Thursday, and the it's more faster, it's more smarter than GPT 3.5, and it's cheaper than GPT 3.5. And what's fascinating, it's actually multimodal, and it's still going for that price. It's like half the price of GPT 3.5. So I just believe that now is the time to jump on board in the AI train because it's only going to get cheaper from here. And we also see the advent of AI agents. There will be a lot of AI agents coming up in the next month. It's already here, but I just feel like this is what the projection is looking like. So to complement all the trends that is happening, Monitor Shield is also going to improve. We currently understand the sentiments behind the inputs and the outputs from models, but we also want to dive deeper into LLMs. It's black box, but we're going to try our best to figure things out and how, like, to dive deep into what's going on, especially the explainability part. Why did the model respond like this? Because we know that sometimes when you just tweak a prompt, everything changes. And yes, that has to do with the tokenization, but we want to dive deeper into that. We have a theory, and we're going to share more with you guys in the future. And integration with with more platforms. First of all, we want to extend this to the Monitor platform where you can create your rules from the UI, rather than, because currently it's only available for Python and it's all coded within your application. If you want to share it with another application, you have to like copy and paste. So what we want to do, we want to create a centralized system in our platform. You create all the rules from there, and you can just consume them either from the SDK or from APIs. And that way, you don't actually need to use Monitor SDK in itself. You can just consume the API. So we're planning on exposing some of our APIs. Hallucination detection, which is one of the things that we're going to release very soon, hopefully very soon. We our latency is very the latency is quite okay, but we can guarantee a maximum of 100 milliseconds in our in-house algorithms, and our in-house algorithms are PII detection and tone detections. For the rest, it's subjective. It's left to the LLM provider. I think we've done a huge deal by making it open for you to choose which providers you want to use. Custom metrics is also something we're working on. Like I said earlier, we can't build every metrics. but we can extend it, we can make it open for you to bring in your own rules and your own metrics. And finally, we're going to improve Monitor Shield and Monitor also as a platform based on the feedbacks that we get from everyone. So, in order to get those feedback, people have to use Monitor Shield and Monitor as a platform. And as a thank you also for joining this webinar. Before the Q&A, we have a present for you, and you can scan this QR code or take a screenshot or just use this promo code on sign up, and you'll get $50 in credit. This is enough for our business plan and for one user as well. So you get access to all the features. We don't just have Monitor Shield as a feature. We have a AI playground. We have AI evaluation. We have human evaluation. We have our tracing, and this will also give you a more retention period. So we have more features in Monitor, and yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for this cool presentation and for I'm very happy to have more one startup on our webinars and share what new technologies they do. So happy thank you for this overview of your functionality and your startup.
Thank you, Dmitry, for inviting us.
Yeah, so for now, we will speak a little about your company and also answer for the questions which our participant ask. So if you still have the question and want to ask them, please write and use Slando for your questions. Uh, for first, I want to start with some first your step, how you find this idea and why you start this project, how you find each other.
Yeah, sure. I will take it. So, yeah, to be honest, we started from infrastructure monitoring because, as I said, like my background is DevOps engineer, and I kind of like found a gap there, and we wanted to build a platform which like cheaper than Datadog, Dynatrace, or like big overpriced guys, and better than open source tools. Because with my experience, I kind of like faced with these gaps, and yeah, we tried to build it. But then we released an MVP, and we made like more customer development research, and figured out that like unfortunately, there is kind of like a standards on the market, and like big companies who has money to pay for Datadog, they're using Datadog because it's kind of like secured. They're already like decades on the market, and like small startups just using open source tools, and it's enough for them. So we then made more research and decided to pivot to LLM observability, and yeah, released our platform in like 1.5 months, and yeah, getting traction and users, and yeah, receiving like really great feedback. So yeah, happy to improve LLMs and get transparency to these black boxes and what's happening there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's amazing that in so small period you did so huge work. And for now, what goals you have, what you're looking for? Uh,
Sure. Yeah. Can you imagine if you build it like in 1.5 months, what we can build in a few years? So okay, yeah, our vision like on the whole is to build kind of like new Datadog but for AI world, and get like build a platform, where you can not only monitor LLMs, but we want like later, like right now we're focusing on LLMs, but later we want to focus on different ML models and provide the solution where like you can monitor, you can guardrail, you can yeah, improve your models and maybe even like fine tune, and maybe even to monitor not your models but like your GPUs where you're running your custom models. We'll see. So yeah, we have a lot of plans how to grow it, and like the most important, we really like listening to our customers, and when they requested like new features for like some of our clients, we recently released like custom AI evaluation because it was important for them, and yeah, releasing other features. So yeah, we I believe to find this like product market fit, it's like the best is like to listen for your customers and users. Yeah.
Yeah. And what interesting challenges you have from technical prospect of this period of building this solution and for testing it with some customers who start using you?
Caleb, word.
Yeah, I mean, some of the technical challenges, trying to keep up because it's a fast-paced industry and like there are a lot of competitors out there, and given the fact that we are a small team, a very small technical team for that matter, and so some of the challenges is like trying to keep up with the trends. On Thursday, I saw a news on LinkedIn that OpenAI released GPT 4.0 Mini, and like immediately it was already late for me. Like I was almost going to sleep, and I just opened my laptop, and also implemented OpenAI GPT 4.0 Mini and released it the next morning, right? So that's a challenge, like trying to keep up. So I just believe that that's the only challenge. But once it comes, especially what Anastasia said, like we developed this in a month and a half. Uh, this is going to our second month since we pivoted. So imagine what we can develop in the next 6 months. So we're getting there.
Cool. And how your infrastructure look like for now? And is it ready for some scaling, or it's
I will
not
take
for
it.
now ready?
Yeah, it's ready for scaling. Yeah. As DevOps engineer, we have like
You
things.
think about scaling first.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes, and yeah.
And you also use some models on your solution. So how you operate with this model and what you monitor for these models.
Caleb.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Could it?
Okay. Yeah. So you use some models in your platform, and how you operate these models, what you monitor on these models, because you built a solution for monitoring. Interesting to understand what you monitor and what your experience with your part of your solution.
Okay, I can take it here because I think Caleb has internet issues. Oh, okay, Caleb.
I think I
Yes.
just connected. Yeah, yeah. So for most of our in-house operations, like PI detection and tone detection, we don't use any AI for it. We've built algorithms to detect those things, and the reason why we're doing that is we want to combat latency. We just believe if we start using AI for some of those metrics, it's going to add latency to the application. So we've built in-house algorithms to detect
Mhm.
and combat like PII detection, tone detection. Yeah, but for the rest, we're using some AI for it. So we don't use any model for in-house.
Mhm. I understand. And if users start use your solution, how your platform affect latency of customer system?
Okay, I can take it. Yeah, the thing is like what's it like one of the main difference between us and like other platforms. So we almost not adding like for tracing we adding like no latency, but for other
Mhm.
platforms you need to send the request through their platform to be able
Yeah.
to trace your application and this like request to OpenAI for example or like other LLMs providers. And with us, we leveraging like open telemetry, and we just like wrapping your platform with our SDK. It's like super simple. You just need to install like actually 2 lines of code, and we support both Python and TypeScript. And yeah,
Mhm.
we just like wrap in your platform and start tracing, and you can see all in like all traces and LLM requests in UI, but yeah, we not even like any latency.
Mhm. I understand. So, in the case, if, for example, my ecosystem live in Azure and your system live in other clouds, so we will have some. We can have potential some problems with latency. But what about some variant of your solution which I can install in my own ecosystem, or you plan to do only uh, SaaS version?
So right now it's SaaS version, but we have different kind of plans. We have business plan. We have just individual plan, which is free to check it out, and we have enterprise. So if
Mhm.
you're using enterprise plan, we can customize and like deploy monitor to your infrastructure. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and today
Okay.
many companies try to create some open source LLMs. Not always they fully open source because we don't have some data, we don't understand how they train it, and so on. But they say that it's open source models. What about open source in your company? Will you some part of your system publish as open source solution?
Sure. So right now we are not open source. I know is it like bad or good thing? We SaaS platform, but we are thinking about open source. But like what we have right now to just like give it open source doesn't make sense because yeah we will just like lose all our value. But we have some plans and yeah release some like maybe features in the future to open source and yeah let other developers to contribute and customize and like build integration with it. So yeah, stay tuned. I don't want to mention it right now, but yeah, we have plans to release open source.
Yeah, it will be very good if it's possible to have something what you can, for example, customize and create something specific for your system. Yeah, for our own system. Okay, we have several questions from our participant. Let's answer for them. First of all, first question about what is your process of adding security and protection layers on LLMs.
So Caleb, will you answer?
Yeah, let me answer that. So just like the presentation, we've set up a list of rule sets that you define. So in terms of security and protection, we've provided prompt injection, so that way we secure your models from bad inputs. In terms of data security and like protective layers, we've implemented PII detections, so that way your system won't leak sensitive data back to the users. So that is one of the things that we do in that regard.
Yeah. Second question about technologies. What technologies do you use to add these protections layers?
Yeah, so we're using Python as our core technology. So Python is what we use as the technology that we use in those protection layers.
Mhm. Okay. More questions about uh, how will protection process be different for small language model, as I understand, SLM, if any?
Yeah, so what we've done, we've made it open. You can use any provider that you want to use, and if you have your SLM and it's running on maybe your own GPUs and you're using VLLM as your server, it's the same API construct as that of OpenAI, so you can use that as well. It's all in the documentation. So once you check out monitor documentation, you would see how that process works.
Yeah, thank you. Next question, very interesting. Is Shield aware of entry conversation or only support of conversation? And how well does it scale for very for very long conversation?
Okay, good question. So currently, we provide just for a single input and output, because we, in a way, we don't really care about the conversation history. That part of that feature is available in our evaluation platform. But that's an interesting question, and we're going to put that into advisement and probably add that as part of our features in the upcoming months.
Mhm. And more one question about layers. Which layer in LLMs application uh, does more monitoring fit in?
I can answer it. So as
Uh,
I showed on like one of my slides, it's like, yeah, you can actually use monitor in different stages in like dev environments, right, and use like some features like playground and comparison hub and like tracing and the evaluation there. And you can use in production like tracing and to get transparency what's actually like happening there. You can download data sets from your production and use it to refine your model. And um, as you understand, you can also use Murnitur Shield. And if it's like question more about Murnitur Shield, so you can like always configurable. We want to make it like really flexible, so you can catch any of this like PAI, like all these parameters, and you can configure to catch it from like input or from output. So as obvious, like for example, prompt injection you want to catch from input, so you configure it, and this prompt, like if you detect prompt injection, it will even don't get to LM, and yeah, it will block it there. And if it's like PAI or like sensitive data on which LM was trained and you don't want to generate it, you configure it like from output, right? And if you detect it, you can set up different kind of rules like override, or maybe you want to set up like different rules or like block it, and we have this discussion with clients. Okay, like when we release catching hallucinations in Murnitor Shield, like, do you want to actually block it at all and say that like this message hallucinated and I will not show it or something, or do you want to just like send a warnings, right? Like and like we want to make it like configurable as well, and let this decision make to customer, and yeah, how they want to configure it. But yeah, we want all to have, to make all like flexible and just like give you a tool where you can configure everything and like catch whatever you want and different parameters and metrics, and yeah, evaluate and yeah,
Yeah.
improve your LMs.
Yeah. And maybe last question. So you did this step and start your company. What you can advise to folks who work for now, think about some project but not ready to do this first step? How to do this first step to change your mind and start to be entrepreneur and start to be a startup, start to be
Yeah, yeah,
entrepreneurs about
sure.
the startup.
Yeah, sure. I can say that like it's really exciting journey. What I can recommend is to firstly make customer development, interview your like potential users, ask them like as much questions as you can, because maybe you think that they have these challenges. Because yeah, like we firstly like released infrastructure monitoring platform because we saw that like they have these challenges and we will help to solve them. But yeah, like if we would make maybe like more customer development on the beginning before we release our MVP, we wouldn't like waste the time there and pivot earlier. But yeah, it's all experience, and I believe that like bad or good experiences, all experience. You like studying on it, like you studying really fast when you're a founder, you just like take care of like everything and have a lot of responsibilities, and you just understand like no one will cover like sales developments, and like it's really great to have co-founder, because I had this experience when I like discovered the idea and was a like solo founder, and I stuck with searching for co-founder. Like, yeah, it's not cool. But when you have a co-founder and you know like it's really important that you have this like diversity and like focusing and managing like different fields. Like Caleb is responsible for um tech field and like yeah coding everything, and I'm responsible more like on business side. And we like yeah we just like helping each other, we support each other, and yeah like cover our backs. Yeah, in different scenarios, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for this presentation, for this discussion, and for your time. Also, thank you for all who still with us and who will see our record. Don't forget to join our Discord channel and continue this cool discussion. Yeah, thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Anastasia, for
Yeah,
your time and for
yeah,
this cool presentation. And I hope you will grow as a big company.
yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone to watching our webinar. It was our first webinar, so it was like really super excited. Hopefully we shared some useful information, and yeah, happy to chat. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's chat about LM challenges and try to solve them together. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you
Yeah.
so much, Dmitry, for inviting us.
thank you. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice
Bye.
day. Bye bye.